Action News Team, weeknights at 6 and 11.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Stan Stovall.
I'm Mike Hambrick, and this is the news. Some parents of students in Baltimore County are not what you would call pleased with the county school board tonight. The board officially recommended the closing of 4 schools. Ron Leverton has a report.
Just prior to tonight's Baltimore County School Board meeting, there was a silent protest in front of Loch Raven Senior High. These students and their parents from Arbutus Elementary echoed the sentiments of many from the affected schools. They want no part of the closings. The recommendations came from a county-wide school closing committee, which studied the subject for some time. The county school superintendent acknowledged school closings and transfers are emotional subjects, but he insisted declining enrollments and fiscal management forced the move for the benefit of all county students.
The emotional and sentimental attachment many of our citizens have to our schools should be recognized as a very positive phenomenon. As we've said before, the converse, a lack of reaction to school closing recommendations would indeed have been an indictment of our educational program. That is, if we had announced potential school closings and nobody cared.
The board's recommendation calls for closing 4 schools in different parts of the county. Just over 1,000 students would be affected. Closing the schools would, according to board figures, result in substantial annual savings, more money than they can justify spending to retain the facilities. A large crowd had been expected at the meeting. That didn't really develop, but parents throughout the county are upset. Some rallies and strategy meetings are already planned. But tonight's board action doesn't mean the schools will be closed just yet. Coupled with the recommended closings, the school board has scheduled public hearings and work sessions at each of the affected schools. Those meetings begin 1 week from tonight and run through the middle of next month. Ron Leverton, Action News at Loch Raven Senior High School.
Baltimore city schools have problems of their own tonight. Today, Mayor Schaefer testified for the city in its suit questioning the state's method of distributing money to school districts. The mayor said that although the city does receive more money per student than richer counties, the difference is not enough to give city children the same quality of education that their counterparts in the county get.
The city can't move forward, I don't care what you do, unless you have a good educational system. We're moving to that right now, but this suit, if we're successful, will bring additional resources so that our youngsters will have as much the opportunities as any other youngster in any school system in the state.
A decision in the suit is not expected until next year. Planning to attend Catonsville, Essex, or Dundalk Community College next year? Well, it's going to cost you more money. Tuition is going up. The increase is $1 a credit. The colleges now charge $20 a credit for up to 11 credits and $10 for each credit above 11. The dominant Republican presence in the Senate is already being heard from. The Senate voted 42-38 in favor of a strong statement against school busing. The legislation would stop mandatory busing to achieve racial balance in schools. The statement is attached to a bill that still needs final passage in the House.
The murder for hire trial of David Robertson inched closer to a verdict today when the trial judge excluded a key defense witness. Robertson is accused of killing 2 women last Thanksgiving at their home in northeast Baltimore as part of a plot to collect an inheritance. The judge ruled today the mastermind of the plot would be unable to testify, and there would be no further delay waiting for his testimony. A verdict in the 2-week trial could come as early as tomorrow. A Baltimore federal judge has delayed implementing the state's new law banning the sale of drug paraphernalia for 11 days. But Judge Alexander Harvey says the law will go into effect immediately after that. Harvey allowed for the stay after lawyers for head shop owners today argued before him, seeking the injunction against implementing the ban while that law is being appealed. Maryland State Police say a man and his wife were found dead in their Cecil County home today, apparently victims of a homicide-suicide. 55-year-old Gertrude Ray was found dead from gunshot wounds in the kitchen of her Rising Sun home. Her husband, Ernest Ray, also 55, was found in the bedroom. Police say Ray apparently killed his wife, then took his own life. They also say they found the bodies after they received a call from a concerned neighbor. New videotapes were played today at the latest Abscam bribery trial. This tape shows Pennsylvania Congressman John Murtha turning down a cash offer in return for sponsoring legislation favorable to supposed Arab oil sheiks. Now, the first voice you hear is that of an FBI agent.
Impression, okay? And I told Howard we were willing to pay. And I went out, I got the 50,000, okay? From what you're telling me, okay? You're telling me that that's not what you know, that's not what...
I'm not interested.
Okay.
It is a point.
Murtha told the agent the money might be as well spent in Murtha's own district.
Some not so good news for the American hostages in Iran tonight. Iranian officials are studying the American response to the list of demands for release, but the initial reaction has not been positive in Iran. Couple that with the week-long religious holiday coming up, and some American officials are saying it could be next year before the hostages are freed. The White House announced that the president and the president-elect will have a meeting 1 week from today in the executive mansion. It will be their first face-to-face encounter since Ronald Reagan's election victory over Jimmy Carter. President Carter and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin met at the White House today to say farewell. They declared the 1978 Camp David Mideast peace agreements a permanent and binding treaty on both countries. The president and Begin congratulated the president for the way that he accepted his defeat in the election. When we come back, 2 crewmen at Patuxent are killed in a copter crash, and BWI reports 2 close calls.
We'll have those stories, and an attempt to break the world's water speed record ends in death. That and more when we come back.
Need your help. Is it me or my 1981 Toyota Corolla? Watch. See what I mean? I know Corolla looks like a million, got plenty of style, not to mention a peppy 1.8-liter engine. But I ask you, is it me or my Toyota Corolla?
Give me a ride to the library?
Tell me, was it me or my Toyota Corolla?
Oh, what a feeling! Your Corolla!
Toyota!
Nice talking to you too, Carl.
Carl? Was that Carl Klinghammer?
Yes, sir.
Well, we haven't done business with him in ages.
Oh, yes, but I call him just to keep in touch.
Hold it, Kramer. You called an inactive customer, long distance, just to keep your foot in the door?
Well, yes, sir.
Nice idea, Kramer. I can see why you set all of the sales records around here.
Save time and money. Use phone power.
Today, let West Bend lend you a hand.
A good cup of coffee, breakfast for 2, soup while you study, slow cooking stew.
Life's getting better, it's part of our plan. At West Bend, we're here to lend you a hand.
At West Bend, the things we make help you make home a nicer place to be.
Come on, let West Bend lend you a hand.
Jonathan, get out there. The game started.
Quiet, Coach. I'm watching it on my new TV from Ward's. Just look at that sharp, clear picture. Automatic color tuning, room light sensor, and more.
Well, how are you going to afford the TV? If you don't make the team.
Easy, Coach. This TV's on sale. Just $369.88.
Move over, Jonathan. This is a better seat than the sidelines.
Capture this season's highlights with the color TV from Ward's.
The bodies of 13 Americans killed in the crash of a U.S. military plane arrived at Dover Air Force Base tonight. The victims, all members of the U.S. Air Force, were killed shortly before midnight yesterday when the C-141 they were riding in crashed 5 miles short of the runway at Cairo West Air Base. The bodies will remain at Dover until positive identification is made. 2 crew members plunged to their deaths today when an Army helicopter crashed in St. Mary's County. That chopper was from the Naval Air Station at Lexington Park. Aboard were Navy Flight Instructor Lieutenant Commander Larry Ammerman and student David Baker, a 35-year-old Marine Major. The crash occurred on a routine training flight.
Their mission was to practice some aerodynamics and auto-rotation landings at Webster Field, which is a short distance from here. And I surmised that they were en route from Webster back to the Naval Air Station at Patuxent River when this happened. I talked to one of the witnesses, and it was the witness's opinion that either all of the rotor blade or part of the rotor blade departed the aircraft in flight, and it fell into this area.
A board of inquiry will be appointed to look into that crash.
Some tense moments at BWI again tonight. An Eastern flight from Atlanta to Allentown, Pennsylvania alerted the airport it was having landing gear problems. It turned out the indicator light malfunctioned and the plane landed safely. Earlier, a DC-10 landed safely at Dulles after reporting problems with the plane's flaps. That World Airways flight had been scheduled to touch down at BWI but landed safely at the Washington airport instead. These pictures apparently are the last to be taken by a television crew covering the evacuation of maroon Haitians from a tiny island near Cuba. The plane was filming as police herded the refugees on ship. Later, the network crew flew back toward Miami. Now, their helicopter apparently went down in the ocean somewhere and is still missing. One of those aboard, NBC technician Dan Cefalo, the brother of an ABC sound man who was with reporter Bill Stewart when Stewart was shot to death by a member of the Nicaraguan National Guard last year. Although the search for the missing SS Poet continues tonight, Coast Guard officials have little hope it will be found. Those officials had wanted to stop looking if the ship wasn't found today. But under pressure from relatives and congressmen, they are continuing their search. Recall the poet left Delaware for Egypt on October 24th and hasn't been heard from since. Here in Baltimore, members of the National Maritime Union, who are waiting for work, have been following the ship's fate.
You know, because of it being seamen brothers, that the next time we leave out, we'll have that in our mind, but you know, it's a job and we have to go on with it.
Well, none of us feel good about it. It's one of them things. It's life. We go to sea. It could happen to me or any ship I'm on. Now, it very seldom happens now. This is one of them things that very seldom happen. And what I can't see is they ain't found nothing, you know, no wreckage or nothing. It's just one of them things. It's happened before. I guess it'll happen again.
Catherine Warren, whose husband is captain of the Poet, admits she's worried about him, but the Bel Air woman adds her husband has been captain for the Poet for 2 years, and she's not giving up hope.
In Nevada today, hundreds of horrified spectators watched as a rocket-propelled boat traveling at a speed of more than 300 miles an hour flipped and blew apart. We have this late report from NBC.
Lee Taylor, former holder of the world record for speed on water, watched with his wife as his rocket-powered boat Discovery was launched at Lake Tahoe and told an interviewer what a run at over 300 miles an hour was like.
Very quick. Before you know it, it's all over with. And then I think, oh, that was neat.
Do it again, huh?
Yeah, let's go again.
Taylor waited for the swells on the lake to calm, then blasted off. The present record is 317.6 miles per hour, held by an Australian. Taylor wanted to bring that record back to America. On this, his first run of the day, he reached about 304 miles per hour. He had actually shut off the engines when disaster struck. The cockpit sank immediately to the bottom, 300 feet down. Frank Bergholzer, NBC News.
One brutally reliable way of determining a car's inherent worth is how much of its original price it retains on the used car market. Seen in this revealing light, none of these esteemed luxury sedans equals the BMW. In fact, over the past 5 years, the BMW 528i retained an average of 84% of its original price. BMW, perhaps it's worth more used because it's worth more new. See your local BMW dealer.
When you make the choice. I'll try. Shall we cook something fast or something delicious?
Let's cook something fast and delicious.
What?
The Green Giant's boiled and bagged lasagna. It cooks in 20 minutes and tastes delicious with flavorful cheeses, good ground beef, and tomato sauce. He has lots more, too.
Excellent choice. They're delicious.
And fast. Remember, I chose 4.
Ho, ho, ho.
Green Giant.
When you're the little guy, the road's not easy, because there are always big guys rushing to get bigger. But getting bigger and going faster can mean less time for the pride you put into things. The special pride that makes Mrs. Filbert's margarine so buttery good. Mrs. Filbert's, world's biggest margarine company when it comes to pride.
Hi, I'm Jack Luskin, the cheapest guy in town. Save during Luskin's truckload sale on this 19-inch solid-state color TV, only $269. Or the Sanyo 3-hour video cassette recorder, $499. Or the Frigidaire fully automatic washer, truckload priced at only $219. And this Technique's 30-watt stereo receiver, only $135. Or the Litton meal-in-one microwave oven, only $277. This is your chance to save with super low truckload prices at a Luskin's near you.
So how's the weather tonight?
Got warm stuff coming in for one day, and then a little touch of winter going to try to slide in on top of us. Snow's out in the western portion of the United States really coming down, but we don't have to worry about that, at least not yet. As far as today's temperature out of BWI, very balmy, 62 degrees. The low this morning, kind of a chilly 35. Right now it's 52 at the airport, 54 downtown. The winds are currently from the west-southwest at 9 miles an hour. The pressure falling, 30.13. The relative humidity, 36%, and no precipitation today. We're just coming off a high tide at Fort McHenry. Last high tide was at 10:55 this evening, and low tide coming up at 5:44 in the morning. Sun will rise at 6:49 and will set at 4:53. Some local temperatures right now. Down in Fort Meade, it's 53 degrees. To the north of us, up around the Whitehall area, 52, 51 in Hagerstown. Over on the eastern shore, 55 in Ocean City. Preston, 54 degrees. Dover, Delaware, 53, and up in Elkton, 53. On the national map, the eastern seaboard being dominated by a huge area of high pressure. That's what brought the nice day today, and also a fairly decent day tomorrow. However, some clouds are now starting to come in because of this frontal system that's just about to pounce on top of the Ohio Valley. And in behind that frontal system, some substantial snows for this time of the year have been covering portions of Wyoming, Colorado, portions of the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, and portions of Iowa. We've got stockman's advisories out and traveler's advisories for the entire central portion of the United States for that snow condition. The whole system is going to continue moving towards the east, and that's going to give us, the way it looks right now, kind of a wet weekend on both Saturday and Sunday. However, come